Honorable members, there is sufficient time, and since everyone is speaking for 5 minutes, nearly everyone will get an opportunity, so let's not worry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make my contribution towards the budget policy statement. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate the work that has been done by the team members on the budget policy statement. However, I have areas to make recommendations or proposals. Madam Speaker, it is very important that even though they have tirelessly worked hard to come up with a roadmap on what would inform our budget for the next financial year, I would like them to come clearly on where are we going to generate these funds. That is quite critical, Madam Speaker, because tabulating on theory and practical implementation are two different things. Madam Speaker, we know very well the tax burden that the Kenyans are having at the moment. The budget policy statement looks quite lucrative, and if sufficient funding and resources are availed, I think Kenyans will be smiling for having a budget that will solve most of our problems. Madam Speaker, I would therefore propose that other than providing for this House sufficient information on how we are going to raise the finances towards meeting what our projections are, we also need to be provided for, Madam Speaker, what kind of grants that we also need to, we are projecting to have. Because as a country, Madam Speaker, there are grants which we receive, either from donor funding or from whichever source. This must come clear, Madam Speaker, so that when we are talking to Kenyans on issues of increased revenue, then it doesn't seem or appear to be a tax burden on them. Madam Speaker, besides that recommendation, I would want to speak first on my point as a woman representative or county MP for Homa Bay. When issues are being stipulated in the budget policy statement, they are very clear, they are very precise, and they are factual. I would want to propose strongly, Madam Speaker, that the same way or in the manner in which NGCDF was quite clear, that is how we expect as county MPs that GAF must be quite clear. Madam Speaker, GAF is very simple. It is the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. There is a lot of vulnerability in all sectors. Madam Speaker, I want to specifically talk as a teacher and glue it with the PWDs. In Homa Bay County, Madam Speaker, we have the PWD schools. We have Nyaburi, for example, in Karachuonyo. We have Nyangweso in Homa Bay Town. We have Lambo in Suba North. Madam Speaker, and many others that I may not be able to mention. When you look at the PWDs in those institutions, we realize that they need to be fully represented in terms of the schools' infrastructural facilities, in terms of food and security for these schools. At times, some of them, when you visit them, you realize, Madam Speaker, that the children are suffering. Themselves, they're in a vulnerable state. Madam Speaker, I would therefore say that when we are talking about the NGAF funding, we are representing vulnerable communities. And so I would strongly urge that when we are making proposals in budget policy statement, I consulted with the chair for this, and he has advised, Madam Speaker, which we do not want to be a story, we do not want to be an engagement with the president, we want actual facts on paper in this budget policy statement. Madam Speaker, my second contribution is on health. I want to say that even what has been allocated for health is inadequate. Though progress is there, we are seeing most of the occasions our nurses on the streets, we are seeing our health facilities, our infrastructure and the institutions, they are inadequate. Madam Speaker, I would want to be encouraged that this statement should provide us with actual status of our health institutions, health infrastructure, also in terms of our human resource in health, so that we do not have ourselves put in problems, our governors put in problems, whereby we are expected to deliver services and these services are not clearly stipulated and projections are not clearly given. So health is a critical issue.
Let her finish her sentence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for 1 minute that you've given me. I want to advocate on behalf of teachers. What has been given for education is even little. There are teachers in this country who retired. National Treasury is misbehaving. And this one, I want it to go on record. They must not put teachers walking into Treasury all the time for years. Some of them are dying without getting their benefits. At the same time, you need statistics of those who are contracted under GSS. It should not just be a flat rate general figure that we contracted 20,000, again 20,000. We want actual figures. We want timelines for recruiting them so that our children get quality education. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.